Apologies in advance for the graphic nature of what you're about to see. Goodbye, Superman. Hello, power.
Are so strong. I think they can beat you. Superman is so beat.
Where do they come from?
When Superman vs. The Elite was released in 2012. It arrived as one of the boldest and most thought-provoking animated films in the DC universe. Unlike traditional superhero stories that simply focus on action and spectacle, this movie dared to question the very idea of heroism itself. It challenged Superman's moral code, his belief in justice without killing, and the world's shifting view of what it means to be a hero in an age filled with violence, cynicism, and impatience. Inspired by the comic What's So Funny About Truth, Justice, and the American Way? Written by Joe Kelly, the film took those themes and brought them to life with a raw, emotionally charged narrative that pushed Superman to his limits, both physically and morally. The story begins with Superman continuing his lifelong mission to protect humanity and uphold truth and justice. He remains the world's most trusted hero, someone who refuses to cross the line between right and wrong, no matter how dangerous the villain. However, his old-fashioned values begin to clash with a world that has grown more ruthless and skeptical. People start to see Superman's restraint not as strength, but as weakness. That's when a new team of so-called heroes arrives, the Elite, led by the charismatic and unpredictable Manchester Black. This group believes that the ends justify the means, that killing villains is not only acceptable but necessary to create a safer world. At first, the Elite captures global attention for their brutal effectiveness. They stop wars, eliminate terrorists, and crush criminals with no hesitation. The public begins to admire them, even as their methods grow darker and more violent. Superman, meanwhile, finds himself caught between admiration and alarm. He knows that their brand of justice may seem efficient, but it's built on fear and vengeance, not hope. This tension sets the stage for one of the most intense moral confrontations in DC's animated history. Superman tries to reason with Manchester Black, hoping to make him understand that killing can never be justified, no matter the reason. But Black sees Superman as outdated, a relic of a Na'vi past. To him, the world is too cruel for mercy, and Superman's refusal to kill only allows evil to thrive. What follows is a clash not just of powers, but of philosophies. The movie transforms into a psychological and emotional war between compassion and cold pragmatism. Every encounter between Superman and the Elite grows more heated, exposing the fragile balance between justice and vengeance. Throughout the film, Superman faces deep internal conflict. He begins to question whether his ideals still hold meaning in a world that celebrates violence as a solution. The media, politicians, and even ordinary citizens start favoring the Elite's methods. It's one of the rare moments in Superman's story where his moral compass feels truly tested, not by a physical force, but by public opinion and the darkness within humanity. The Elite's growing influence puts Superman in a corner, forcing him to decide whether to stick to his code or adapt to the brutal new reality. The tension finally reaches its breaking point when Superman publicly confronts the Elite. In a shocking turn, Manchester Black challenges him to prove that his way is better, a duel that becomes symbolic of two worldviews colliding. The battle is fierce, cinematic, and emotionally charged. Superman faces overwhelming odds against the Elite's combined power, enduring massive destruction while holding onto his principles. As the world watches, it seems as though the Elite has won, proving that raw power and ruthlessness triumph over restraint and morality. But Superman, with unshakable determination, turns the fight around in one of the most chilling and powerful sequences in animated superhero cinema. In that climactic moment, Superman unleashes his full strength in a terrifying display of power. For the first time, the elite and the world see what Superman is truly capable of if he ever decided to stop holding back. The tone shifts completely from moral debate to haunting realization. Manchester Black and his team are left trembling, confronted by the truth that Superman could wipe them out in seconds if he chose to. But instead of killing them, he stops. He shows mercy. He reminds them and the audience that true strength lies in self-control, not destruction. It's a masterful moment that redefines what heroism means. That ending remains one of the most iconic scenes in DC's animated history. Superman stands battered but unbroken, proving that his ideals are not weaknesses, but the very source of his power. The message is clear and timeless. The belief in compassion, restraint, and moral courage will always matter, even in a world that demands easy solutions through violence. It's a story that questions not only the nature of superheroes, but also our collective humanity and what kind of world we want to build. The animation style of Superman V's. The Elite carries a distinct comic book energy. It captures the essence of the early 2000s Superman animated universe while pushing boundaries with darker tones and more mature visuals. The contrast between bright hope and grim reality is reflected beautifully through the film's color palette and art direction. The action scenes are fluid and explosive, but what truly sets the movie apart is its emotional depth. Every punch and blast carries moral weight, emphasizing that the real conflict is not about who is stronger, but about who is right. The voice performances add even more emotional resonance. Superman's voice conveys warmth, conviction, and inner struggle, while Manchester Black's performance exudes both charm and menace. Their verbal exchanges are sharp, intelligent, and dripping with ideological tension. The script is layered, filled with philosophical undertones and emotional realism that elevates it above a standard superhero battle. It explores what happens when morality is seen as outdated and how easily society can embrace the illusion of strength over the reality of righteousness. What makes Superman V's? The Elite especially powerful is its relevance. Even years after its release, the story feels fresh and urgent. In a world where people often confuse justice with revenge and strength with brutality, this film delivers a reminder that real power doesn't come from domination. It comes from compassion, patience, and integrity. Superman's refusal to compromise his beliefs, even when the entire world turns against him, makes him not just a hero, but a symbol of hope that endures through time. The movie also reflects the evolution of superhero storytelling. Instead of simple good versus evil, it dives into shades of gray, exploring moral dilemmas that challenge both characters and viewers. It asks difficult questions. What if the world no longer believes in moral restraint? Can ideals survive in an age of cynicism? Does peace require sacrifice or strength? By confronting these questions head-on, Superman V's, The Elite becomes more than an animated film. It becomes a mirror reflecting our own moral choices. The film's emotional core lies in Superman's humanity. Despite his godlike power, he remains deeply human in spirit, vulnerable to doubt, pain, and fear of failure. His greatest challenge is not his enemies, but his own struggle to remain good in a world that tempts him to become something darker. That emotional authenticity grounds the movie and connects it to audiences on a deeper level. It reminds us that the most difficult battles are often fought within. By the time the film concludes, Superman's victory is not just over the elite, but over the dangerous idea that morality is outdated. His triumph reaffirms that compassion and justice, no matter how fragile they seem, will always be stronger than fear and violence. It's a powerful and poetic statement about what true heroism means, not about domination, but about perseverance, mercy, and unshakable belief in doing the right thing, even when no one else does. Superman vs. The Elite stands as one of DC's most profound animated films, a timeless exploration of ethics, power, and the soul of heroism. It doesn't rely on spectacle alone. It forces viewers to think, to question, and to reflect on what kind of world we create when we trade morality for convenience. With its unforgettable characters, sharp writing, emotional tension, and moral depth, it remains a defining entry in Superman's legacy, a story that reminds us why, even after decades, the symbol on his chest still stands for hope. Superman's battle against the Elite isn't just another superhero showdown. It's a lesson in humanity, a reminder that power without conscience is chaos, and that hope, no matter how tested, must never fade. The film closes on that eternal truth, leaving the audience with a powerful reflection on courage, restraint, and the unbreakable spirit of the Man of Steel.